Thinking about career growth? Join Asian Center of Entrepreneurship and Real Estate today. Learn more about decision making, essentials of business, improve marketing performance, develop crucial communication skills, and more. Join ASRE today and get a chance to be mentored by the best professionals in the country. Unlock the entrepreneurship inside you. Learn from the experts. Contact us at 0969-557-7017 or email us at ace.reasia@gmail.com. Let's all welcome our host, Dr. Eduardo Giong, MBA, JD, Ph.D, DPA, DBA. He is a highly respected real estate professional, educator, and mentor. He holds a PRC license number 001 for real estate broker, appraiser, and consultant. He is the first chairman of Professional Regulatory Board of Real Estate Service. Currently, he is the Dean of College of Real Estate Management of Lyceum of Alabang. Please welcome PRC Outstanding Professional, Doc E.G.
Hello again and again. Sorry for the glitch, no? Technical glitch. We are now in Season 12, Episode 143 of its Doc E.G. Live. Yan. Ako na yan. Ayos natin konti. Yan. Okay. So, well, as I've said, pasensya na po dahil sa may mga technical problems and my IT people are tried to fix it as soon as possible pero inabot pa rin kami ng 20 minutes. Pero pasensya na po. But anyway, so I just would like to thank those who attended the blessing of our new office in Legazpi Village, Makati City last Wednesday, headed by, of course, si Father Patrick of Don Bosco and also my good friend, my best friend, si board member Paeng Pajardo of the Professional Regulatory Board of Real Estate Service, of the PRC, and other practitioners and luminaries, including the president of Las Piñas City Real Estate Board, si Jackie Bacolod, who was there 2 hours early. Thank you, Jackie. I really appreciated what you've done, really. Salamat, maraming salamat. And all of those guests who went to witness the blessing of our new office, which is going to be on training and development, consultancy, appraisal, and the like. Okay? So now, let me greet, I would like also to thank my sister, Evelyn, and my bayaw, Tony, for helping us in the preparation of the food and all of the nitty-gritty. Thank you, Utol, no? And also to my other Utol, si baby Ong Aguilar, who could not make it because he's still in Bulacan. She was in Bulacan. Well, okay. Anyway, you're here naman in spirit. And to Bonnie Aguirre, I know you are now in Iloilo City. I hope you enjoying your stay in Iloilo City. And to my coordinator in the BSREM course, the College of Real Estate Management of Lyceum of Alabang, si Jade Angeles Kimoy, and the beautiful daughter, Eunice. Thank you for gracing the occasion. And talaga din naman, simple and yet very meaningful. Okay, later on, as we move on, ubos ng oras natin, I'll try to greet some of you. Also, thank you, Maripe Garchiturena. Thank you, Maripe, for reminding us na wala palang sound. Wala palang audio. Maraming salamat. And hope to see you next week, no? Okay. And so, we have a very full-pack schedule now because we have we have 2 important presentations that we are gonna witness and learn from it. It's gonna be learning. Sabi ko nga learnings, earnings, no? We grow and we network and we will try to move on globally in the global milieu. Now, before later on, ubos ng oras, so I would like to proceed with our first segment, and that is the featured question of the week.
Featured question of the week. Doc EG, are boards sworn with questions on how to enroll in your BSREM course at Lyceum of Alabang? With you, would you enlighten us with the procedure and things to do to be able to enroll? Pwede pa bang humabol for second semester? From Miss Aiko, LP Sereb.
Yes, thank you, Miss Aiko, for the interest. I know that after my talk at LP Cereb webinar on new salesperson, there were a lot of questions. No? There were a lot of inquiries on how to enroll. But sad to say, tapos na po. We are now on our second and almost third week of classes at Lyceum of Alabang. So, hindi na po makahabol. Siguro, we'll try to keep them in our file for next school year. Kasi we have to submit to the Commission on Higher Education the list of those enrolled for the second semester of 2020 to 2 and 23. But hopefully, and we will be welcoming you in the new academic year of 2023 and 2024, which will be this coming August. Pero what I suggest, Miss Aiko, for those LP Cereb attendees who would like to avail of, is to submit to us to HRE the uh, the transcript of records already so that we can evaluate, especially for second courses, so we can evaluate our registrar. By the way, hello, Miss Ana Alega, the registrar of Lyceum of Alabang. So we can evaluate your your credentials and see what subjects can be credited to your second degree. Anyway, first degree, no, you have already completed your first degree. So sayang, but anyway, we welcome you next academic year. Okay, so thank you. Maraming salamat. Now we move on to umpisa na muna natin, no? Mas maganda yung presentation ng aking one of our best professors, si Joey Halili Bondoc, the Associate Director of Colliers International, and who will be presenting to us a very good prognosis, a very good readings of the real estate industry, how we are in the verge of recovery or we are already recovering, and what we can expect for 2023 and beyond. So without further ado, let me present to you our esteemed Professor Joey Halili Bondo.
In 2022, the Philippine Central Bank hiked interest rates by some 350 basis points. To tell us more about how the local property sector would fare this year, we're joined by Joey Bondoc of Colliers International. Good morning, Sir Joey, and thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, good morning, Risa.
Hi, good morning. Okay, let's go now to the property sector. We've been seeing quite a slump, not just here in the country, also in other countries as well, China most especially. But if we're looking at the landscape of real estate now after the pandemic, can you paint us a picture of this? Are you bullish about it?
We're very bullish, Rika, with what's happening in the Philippine property sector. Just look at the office leasing. Net take-up demand is up 40%, so about 600,000 square meters taken up in 2022 from about 400,000 back in 2021. So we also recorded net take-up, meaning the amount of office spaces taken up or absorbed in the market far outpaced the vacant spaces in the market. So what we have been seeing is that the BPO companies have been expanding, and even medical coding, health information management companies have been expanding here in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
And what's positive also, Rika, is the fact that they're not occupying space not just in Metro Manila, but also outside. So the provincial transactions for office, in fact, almost doubled in 2022 at about 222,000 square meters. So that's very positive. And even for the residential market, because employees are returning to offices, and we see more expatriates returning to the Philippines, that has positively influenced the take-up of condominium units for rent or for sale in Metro Manila. And we have also seen improvement in rents and prices across the capital region.
What about on the industrial properties? There are a lot of places that do have industrial properties up.
That's correct, Rika. So we are looking at expansion of industrial spaces in Central Luzon and Southern Luzon. So you have major developers expanding because they are expecting more investments, more foreign direct investments here in the Philippines. And you also have to note that the Marcos administration has been very aggressive in attracting investments abroad. So they are joining this investment promotion missions in Davos, for example, and that should result in more foreign direct investments trickling into the country, and that should result in greater industrial space absorption. So in Clark, in Bulacan,
We've destroyed an enemy cruiser.
also in Tarlac and down south, Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, which is the primary industrial hub of the Philippines. We see Japanese manufacturing companies expanding here in the Philippines. So there's renewed interest in the Philippines, and even Chinese manufacturers are looking at occupying more industrial space here. They are looking for alternative industrial zones outside of mainland, and even some Taiwanese companies, those into semiconductors, are also likely to expand. So a lot of interest that the Philippines has been receiving. So that should result in a greater absorption of industrial space, and that should result in a more robust industrial sector here in the Philippines.
Are we just looking at metro cities being developed when it comes to property, to the property sector, or are provincial areas also increasing?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, Rika, because we have also been seeing very positive interest, not just in Metro Manila or Metro Cebu or Metro Davao. In fact, over the past few months, I've traveled outside of Metro Manila. I went to Zamboanga, I went to Iligan. There's really a lot of interest in these areas. And even if you look at Northern Luzon, Central Luzon, for example, the likes of Pampanga, we're now seeing condominium projects that are now at 250,000 pesos per square meter. And these are prices that previously you only see in Metro Manila, and they are doing very well. After about a year of being launched in the market, they are 90% taken up already. They're talking about a pre-selling project right now, and you have the likes of Mega World aggressively expanding in Bulacan, Rockwell in Angeles, in Pampanga, and the likes of Iloilo, Bacolod. These are locations that are attracting a lot of investments from major developers. And I like the fact that you mentioned outside of these metro areas, because leisure sector is also doing very well. And I think that now that the tourism sector is bouncing back, there's a lot of opportunities for hotel developers to expand their portfolio in the countryside. And these provincial locations will definitely benefit from the expansion of leisure footprint from these hotel players.
Since the pandemic, it's becoming very clear now that life is trying to return back to normal, like what we're seeing at the moment. But we are also seeing an increase in non-performing loans. Loans that are not being paid, because loans that have fallen past due because of non-payment. So with this, even though the property sector and there's a boost in a lot of the property sector, if there are a lot of non-performing loans as well, what are we seeing in the near future? Will there be more loans that are not going to be paid? Will there be more loans that will be taken up by developers and buyers as well?
Well, that is correct, Rika, because interest rates are really surging, and therefore there will be a greater threat for the increase in non-performing loans moving forward. I understand that the central bank is also looking at further raising interest rates because it wants to temper the impacts of inflation, of surging prices across the country. So that will again threaten the non-performing loans ratio, the NPL ratio, and that is likely to increase further. So I think there will be more assets that will be disposed, but that is an opportunity for the opportunistic buyers in the market, those that are looking for properties to redevelop. And, outside of Metro Manila, or even within Metro Manila in Makati, in fact, we featured this during our presentation yesterday. There are a lot of properties for redevelopment, and we now see more hotels and even new condominium projects being redeveloped in these properties.
We've just seen the decision of the U.S. Feds that we've been waiting for a couple of weeks now. They raised another 25 basis points. The BSP is sure to follow. With this, an increase in the rate hikes again, what are we looking at? Will there be more development, even though rate increases will be sure to follow in the next few months?
Well, that is a threat again, Rika, to the property sector, because rising interest rates will definitely temper appetite for residential developments and even for office projects across the country. So if the central bank further rises or hikes interest rates, that will likely have a negative impact on the property sector moving forward. In fact, launches have not really recovered to pre-pandemic level, and that is likely to continue moving forward over the next 12 months. So again, it's really the rising interest rates that is likely to threaten the rebound that we have been seeing in the property sector, whether it's in the office or for the residential sector, even for industrial space, because rising interest rates will likely affect the expansion plans of manufacturers. And as a result, that will also stifle their appetite for more industrial space and facilities or warehouses.
Let's look now at, since we're going back face to face and everything, not just in schools, but also in offices. Despite this, a large number of the industry of workers, especially on the BPO sector, is not exactly back at work. There's especially when we found out that from PEZA zones, they're now being transferred to the Board of Investments, just so the BPO industry can still continue working from home. Is this the reason why we are seeing a slump? Is there a slump on the office property sector?
I would say that yes, there's a slump because we are now seeing a slower demand in the market. Rika, if you look at Metro Manila office market, there's a market that used to absorb close to 1 million square meters of office space every year. Now we're only seeing 500,000, 600,000 square meters, similar to what we saw back in 2022. But you also have to note that even with these work from home exemptions being provided by the government, BPOs continue to expand.
Yeah.
My colleagues from our office leasing team have been very busy looking for expansion sites and other office buildings across the capital region. So again, you have the outsourcing companies, the medical coding firms, as well as government agencies that are transferring to newer high quality office buildings because they are taking advantage of a rental corrections. Rents have corrected by a combined 37% since 2020, and they're taking advantage of the fact that we have newer buildings that are offered at discounted lease rates in Metro Manila. So they continue to expand. What the developers have been doing is that they are also turning off the supply tap. So Previously, you have 1 million square meters of transactions. So as a result, developers would churn out about 1 million, 1.1 million square meters of new office space in the market. But now that has declined to only about the 550,000 square meters of new office space every year. That's our projection from 2023 up to 2025. So about half of what we used to see in the market being completed every year from 2017 to 2019, a very good year for the office market, which was partly driven by demand from the POGO sector.
What about if we try to do property conversions? Will this help boost the market? I mean, if we're going to be having a lot of office space that are unused, try to convert it into an industrial sector or a commercial space at least.
Well, it really depends on the use, Rika, of the redeveloped property. You have old office buildings, for example, in Makati that are now being redeveloped into ultra-luxury projects, Rika. When you talk about ultra-luxury, these are condominium projects that are starting at 20 million pesos per unit. And in fact, here in Legazpi Village, for example, you have an office building, an old office building. It was pared down, it was reconstructed, it was redeveloped into an ultra-luxury condominium residential project. And now condo units are being offered at more than 100 million pesos per unit, more than 500,000 pesos per square meter. And really, these condo projects are breaking the price barrier. Also, you have previous hotels, five-star hotels in Metro Manila, in Makati, for example, which are now being converted into office projects. So it really depends on the use and what type of redevelopment will be offered by the developer.
The amount you're mentioning is staggering.
Yes, that's correct.
Actually just giving me a headache thinking about it. Okay, let's try to look now at a silver lining for the property sector. How do we strengthen this, especially now on the digital age? Digitalization is very much in common and helping a lot of businesses take a boost. What do you think about digitalization for the property sector?
Okay, Rika, previously we mentioned that there were concerns that digitalization will affect the outsourcing sector. You have the robots, for example, chatbots that will eventually affect the demand for BPO seats for BPO employees. But we're not doing that. In fact, we would say that these chatbots, these robots are even complementing the demand for more BPO employees. And we did not see a substantial drop in office space take-up back in 2017, 2019, despite the popularity of these chatbots. I believe that there are concerns also with ChatGPT. We're seeing these across the globe right now, the demand and the interest for these chat robots. But I think moving forward, these KPO companies or higher value outsourcing companies will only likely to hire more as they need people, human skills to complement all these artificial intelligence that we are seeing proliferating at this point.
Can you give me the occupancy rate of offices, of condos, and industrial sector now, Joey?
Well, look at the vacancy in Metro Manila. We're still at about 18.8%. That's as of end of 2022. You have to note that pre-pandemic, we were only seeing vacancies of 4-5% in Metro Manila. You have major business districts such as the Bay Area as well as Makati CBD, where vacancy would only hover at less than 1% or less than 5%. But that started to increase at about 9%, 9.5% in 2020 and started to double in 2021 and 2022 because of the impacts of the pandemic. We're likely to see vacancy inching up again in 2023 to about 20% and then perhaps some improvement by 2024 because of the completion of new supply or new office buildings in the market. In terms of the residential market, Rika, we're looking at improving vacancies also. So for 2021, that was a record high vacancy for the residential market, 18%, meaning if there are 100 condo units being offered in the market, either for sale or for rent, 18 units are vacant. But we're projecting a vacancy to improve to 17%. So that's a marginal improvement. But an improvement nonetheless compared to what we saw 2020 and 2021 at the height of the pandemic. And then we are projecting vacancy to improve further to 16.7% in 2024. So these occupancy rates are definitely improving even for a hotel. Occupancy of about 51% across Metro Manila from 20% in 2020 at the height of the pandemic. And another positive note for the market is the malls, and malls are packed after office hours and during weekends, and the vacancies have really been improving. You have foreign retailers occupying more mall space, brick and mortar mall space across the country. So that's very positive for the retail sector. You have tax cuts that will also improve purchasing power of Filipinos. So we only expect greater physical mall space absorption moving forward. And again, for industrial, the expansion of manufacturing companies, you have a very big Indonesian ice cream manufacturer taking up a very huge space in Cavite, Laguna, Batangas region. So these companies, once they complete their factories, will result also contribute to greater absorption of industrial space, and we're likely to see a greater improvement in industrial vacancy over the next 12 months.
It's a compounding factor of a lot of things, in inflation and the
That's
higher
correct.
prices of commodities and the bouncing world economy. But your sunny outlook in a lot of things hopefully can influence our investors and our developers as well. So for a final question before I let you go, Joey, what advice can you give for investors, for the developers and the buyers of the property sector?
I think they need to be mindful of rising inflation as well as rising interest rate. If you are to invest, for instance, where will you invest? Will you invest in a central business district where prices are really high for a condominium project, but the capital appreciation potential is strong over the next 3 to 5 years? I think also look at master plan communities, integrated townships that are being developed by developers in Metro Manila, outside of Metro Manila, because we have seen a continued preference for connectivity, for convenience. So you have investors acquiring these office spaces alongside condominium units because they are located in one master plan community. So it really makes sense to invest in these condominium units because eventually you will be able to lease them out and then earn passive income and also bank on the capital appreciation potential, earn about 20-30% increase compared to your acquisition price, and then flip it after 3 to 5 years. So you really have a very good potential for higher income and higher revenues moving forward, especially if you invest in master plan communities that are being developed by major property firms across the country.
Okay, sorry. I seems I can't let you go just yet, Joey, because I just remembered that the president has been going to a lot of countries, a lot of foreign trips over the past 7 months that he's been in position, and he has been projecting the Philippines as a possible business investment for a lot of countries too. So we're hoping that there might be a doubling of foreign investment in the country. What do you think? How do you think this can affect the property sector?
It will definitely benefit the property sector, Rika. We believe that this will eventually redound to more investments in the property sector. I mean, if you look at the Philippines, we definitely are on the radar of a lot of BPO companies, but we also have to improve our competitiveness, ease of doing business. I believe that we improved in the latest corruption perception index globally. So that's a plus again for the Philippines. We want to attract more manufacturing investments and generate a lot of jobs. And for that, for us to be able to do that, we really have to improve our ease of doing business and make sure that the Philippines is an ideal investment hub, not just in Asia, but across the world.
All right. And with that, I promise I'm going to let you go now. Joey, thank you so much for your time. You have a good morning ahead. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Okay, so that was a very good presentation. Thank you, Professor Joey Halili Bondoc, and of course, thank you, ANC, for allowing us to do it. Uh, Well, they say that the real estate really is gonna bounce back, and we can see in the presentation of Joey. And what struck me most is the township that is being developed all over outside of the metropolis. But what is most important is, to my mind, is connectivity. No connectivity, internet connectivity, and so on and so forth. Because you know that during the pandemic, we used to have a work from home, but now that we are slowly going back to the physical office, and then although some it's going to be a blended well situation wherein some are still working from home and some are already on site. But again, what is important is connectivity. Now, we've learned a lot from Professor Joey. Maraming salamat, Professor Joey, for lending us your ANC clips. Salamat, ha? At I'm sure that our viewers have learned, have picked up a lot of tips on how or where to go. You painted it from north to south, all over the metropolis, and including the whole archipelago. Kita natin, and we would like to thank you, Professor Joey, for doing that. Okay, so maraming salamat po. Now, we will move on to our featured educator of the week.
Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. I am Miss Jane Estrella, and for today's Doc EG Stock series, I will be sharing something about globalization and communication. So today, let us all deepen our understanding how these two terms or how these two phenomena are connected and intertwined with each other. So as we all know, we are now living in a globalized community where all the dimensions of globalization, just like the social dimension, economical dimension, and political dimensions, they all depend on global communication infrastructure. And the prime mover of globalization now is the technology. So globalization is quickly becoming one of the biggest influences on corporate communications. So let's have this question. What globalization means for corporate communications? Much of today's corporate communications revolve around transnational business where companies have operations around the world and operate in a global environment. So in such situations, multinational companies need to communicate with their customers and other organizations across borders. So globalization has led to organizations adopting a more global perspective, resulting in a change in the way global businesses are conducted across geographic boundaries. So what globalization means for corporate communications and why is it important to understand this concept? So today po, we're going to talk about what globalization means when it comes to business communications or corporate communications, and why is it important for us to understand this concept, especially nowadays that we are living in a globalized community or in a globalized world. So number one, we need to understand that globalization has something to do with business relationships or affect what we call business relationships. So to succeed in global markets, companies must communicate and effectively across national and cultural boundaries. So this requires employees with a high level of what we call cross-cultural awareness, including knowledge of the language barrier, customs, etiquette, and history. And it is also essential for companies to be aware of cultural differences when negotiating contracts or selling products abroad, for example. And for example, what is considered acceptable business attire in one country may be considered inappropriate in a foreign country. So like let's have the country India. 'Di ba po sa India, yung mga national costume nila, they still use it when they stand in front of the students teaching. And as we all know, pag sinabi nating national costume ng India, kapag babae, medyo kita yung tiyan niyan, kita yung belly niyan. So I had an experience working in Dubai. So in Indian school, so mostly the students are Indian and some from Pakistan and Afghanistan. Usually, kapag mga Indian teachers, they wear their what we call national costume in the classroom. So in school. So habang nagtuturo sila, kita yung chan, kita yung belly ng teacher, and that's fine. Kasi that's their culture. But if we are going to put that in the Philippine setting, in education per se, parang hindi siya okay, diba? Kapag teacher, you cannot actually show skin eh. But for them, it's okay. So when it comes to globalization or business relationships, we have to consider the culture, the language, and then the etiquette. Like in the given example, what is considered acceptable business attire in one country may be considered inappropriate in a foreign country. So we also need to be aware of the culture and then the customs of other countries for us to have what we call a successful business relationship. Moving on to the next concept, language. Globalization has changed the language barrier, culture, and way of life of people in different parts of the world. So language has become one of the most important factors in the development of today's global economy. So today, there are like more than 1.5, according to studies, there are more than 1.5 billion English speakers worldwide. And this number is rapidly increasing. In the Philippines, we consider English as our second language. So mostly in the business letters or in a certain company or corporate, we are using English to communicate during the meeting, so on and so forth, because English is our second language. So this is due to the increasing links between countries in terms of trade, supply chains, and communication, especially if we have customers or partners um, in the other side of the world. So we really need to use English. So nowadays, according to studies, there are more than 1.5 billion English speakers worldwide. Next is, we have the cultural awareness and cultural globalization. So in the past, when globalization did not exist, people were less aware of the cultural differences of people from other nations. They did not know what was happening in the other parts of the world. So just to clarify, no, during the time na wala pa tayong internet or technology, meron ng tinatawag na globalization. One example is the use of telegraph before. So, through the use of telegraph and radio frequency, for example, we can already connect and share and reshare information and culture to other parts of the world or to other states or cities. So, even without the internet, kahit wala pang internet before, there's already globalization. But today, because of globalization, people are well informed about the different regions and cultures in all parts of the world because they can easily get information through the internet. Like what I've said earlier, the prime mover of globalization now is the technology. So cultural globalization has influenced our organizational communication to a great extent. Why? It has also raised our cultural awareness about cultural barriers all over the world. So it is because of globalization that we can share and reshare our culture um, in in our world today, especially through the use of social media. So with the internet, it's become easier to learn about different culture. Now a person, for example, from a different country can interact with another, which helps her improve her intercultural communication. So cross-culture communication also gives people an opportunity to learn about traditions and lifestyles of a foreign country. So everyone involved in international business, since that we are talking about the effects or the connection of globalization to corporate communications and business communication. So everyone involved in international business needs to understand the culture they are dealing with if they want to negotiate successfully. So that is number one rule. We should know the culture and we should know how to deal with it so that we can negotiate successfully. Next concept that we need to learn is the political awareness. Okay, in international business communication, it is important to have political awareness. Okay, so just as you would not want to offend a potential client, for example, in the United States, by talking politics at a business meeting, you should avoid certain topics in other countries unless you know you'll be among people who share your views and will support you when things get heated. So still, for global business purposes, it can be helpful to have a basic understanding of world politics. So for example, you may need to know something about the following issues. Okay, so part of the political awareness, we have to know the supra-government or what we call the intergovernmentals. So we have the European Union or the EU. It is an economic and political union that includes 27 member states across Europe. And we also have the Association of the Southeast Asian Nations, the ASEAN. It is an intergovernmental organization that includes 10 countries in the Southeast Asia, and we all know that Philippines is one of those countries. And we have the African Union. It is composed of all 55 countries on the African continent, and we have the Union of the Southeast American Nations, and I think it is composed of 12 South American countries. So, double check na lang natin. And the goal of this is to promote and deepen South American integration through the cooperation of all the countries of the continent. And we have the Gulf Cooperation Council, or the GCC. It is a political and economic association of Arab countries bordering the Gulf. So another way for us to understand the global politics is to check the United Nations organization's website. So for us to know, for us to be aware with the political issues and political news, because it is also vital for us, especially those who are doing business. We need to be updated with these political issues. We need to be aware of the political aspects of our world today. So moving on to the next concept, we have the international trade and economic globalization. So one of the driving forces behind this trend is the increase in bilateral trade agreements between countries. And we now have a saying that we are not the citizen of our country anymore, but we are already the citizen of the world. Why? It is because of the term global village. Okay? So some of these agreements eliminate and reduce tariffs, making it cheaper for companies to export products to other countries. And it also gives them access to new markets, which increases sales and helps create jobs and business opportunities. So many countries, we all know this, I believe, many countries have laws that restrict the import and export of certain goods. So these trade barriers are designed to protect local manufacturers from foreign competition by raising the prices of goods imported from other countries. So it is also the reason why companies are doing business abroad. Those companies who are doing business abroad must be mindful of them when negotiating. So on the websites of the World Trade Organization, or the WTO, and the World Bank, we can find a lot of interesting information about the global market and global business, the global company, and the developing countries. So Philippines now is one of the developing countries. Hindi na tayo kasama sa third parang PRBRES na country. So Philippines is already part of the developing countries now. Next is, the fifth is the competitiveness. So globalization has led to increased competition. Like what I've said earlier, technology is the prime mover of globalization nowadays. So gone are the days when people communicated with each other by sending letters or meeting in person. Today, we can stay in touch with our friends and family members who live thousands of miles away with a simple click of a mouse. We can chat on social media, send messages on Viber, WhatsApp, Telegram. We can make video calls on Skype or Zoom or etc. This has definitely changed the way people interact with each other on a daily basis. This is also the case in the business world. Business communication has also changed because of technology. Technology enables developed and developing nations to have more effective communication tools. For example, it used to take 2 weeks for companies to find partners to do business with around the world. Today, these negotiations can be conducted within hours or even minutes via instant messaging services such as Skype or Zoom or Google Meet, right? So I think we can all relate on this. Moving on to the next concept is technology. We live in a world of constant technological advancement. Katulad po nandito sa slides ko. Nowadays, the ability to compete successfully in the global economy depends on its ability to produce better and cheaper products than its foreign competitors. Na alam naman natin, very wise na tayo. Siyempre, yung mga Pilipino or yung mga ibang tao, if it is cheaper, doon na sila. Kung good naman yung quality, di ba? So the business environment has become very unpredictable due to fierce competition from domestic and international players. So with that, therefore, a wide network of contacts at the personal and professional levels must be established to obtain timely information on changing trends in the market environment. So, kailangan meron tayong tinatawag na good interpersonal skills so that we can create a positive image. You can create a positive image of your company, which will give you brand identity in the global market place. Okay? So, actually, nowadays, if you're really good in communicating, you're good at communication, you have the edge. It is also, that's also one of the skills in what we call 21st century skills. At kasama siya sa 4Cs. So, that's why malaki yung edge if you are really good in communication. Okay, moving on. Next is the social impact. With the increasing importance of global issues, it is inevitable in most companies to avoid the topic of social impact in our corporate communication. So therefore, it is important to educate ourselves on how globalization and social impact affect businesses, whether they are large or small. All right. Next concept is the marketing. Okay, globalization also affects our marketing strategies. We all know that. With the increasing importance of global issues, it is inevitable in most companies to avoid the topic of social impact in our corporate communications. As more companies expand their business and focus on international markets, there are a whole new set of challenges to consider. So we have the internet and social media. Both have opened up new ways for companies to reach consumers and vice versa, creating a feedback loop in which both companies and consumers are constantly changing their behavior. Like what I've mentioned, social media, it plays a major role in the way we communicate with each other today. Even kahit bata ngayon or pinakamatanda, merong social media accounts, right? So it plays a major role in the way we communicate with each other. The social media allows us to share information quickly and easily interact with brands in real time. So it is also through the use of mobile devices. Mobile devices allow people to access information anytime, anywhere, which means businesses need to adapt their external communication accordingly. Okay, so mobile devices or smartphones, yan, malaking epekto na yan sa tinatawag natin business communication. So we can communicate our businesses anywhere, anytime through the use of our mobile devices. And it is also because of globalization. Next is public relations. So globalization has changed the face of public relations, not only its face, but also the way it is conducted. So for example, a certain company or one company in the United States has to compete with another company from China that is offering the exact same product at a lower price with a better quality. So with given that, therefore, it is essential now for companies to have a proper plan and strategy to ensure that they are successful in their efforts. So this is where public relations comes into play. Okay? Next is A company can no longer rely solely on advertising and marketing campaigns to reach its target audience. Okay, so what does this mean? We must, or companies must, use other means such as public events, meetings, and conferences, as well as social media platforms, just like Facebook, yan yung number one, Twitter, and YouTube, to get their message out. Okay, in fact, many companies are now turning to social media platforms to increase their customer base and brand awareness among consumers, especially after the pandemic or during the pandemic. Mas tumaas yung paggamit ng mga tao sa social media because during the pandemic, since that we cannot go out, through the use of social media, it can appear to our psyche na I'm still connected even though I'm just at home. I can go to other places or to other communities. I can see different brands and different businesses even though I'm just at home. With one click or with a mobile device on my hand, parang I can still feel that I'm connected in a sense. So that's also the very reason why people nowadays are addicted to social media, because they feel connected. Even though they are not moving at all, they are just at home, there's a feel of connection. It is because of the social media. So with that, a company can no longer rely solely on advertising and marketing campaigns to reach its target audience. We should maximize the use of social media platforms. And syempre, dapat maalam na tayo sa tinatawag nating technology and other devices. So, what does the future hold for corporate communications? So, like what I've said and keep on mentioning, as technology advances, we will use more we will use more virtual and augmented reality. The future of corporate global communication will be in this area. It will create completely different corporate environment, and social impact will also be growing issue as global issues increase. So, ano-ano yung kailangan nating i-watch out? Okay? Ano-ano yung mga trends na kailangan nating tignan at i-watch out? Since that we are talking about what does future hold for corporate communications or business communication. So here are some of the trends that we need to watch out. Number one is social impact. Okay, with younger generations, more socially aware than ever before, social impact will become one of the most important international communication topics. With this, companies should focus not only on promoting their products and services, but also on how they contribute to society. Okay? Next is we have the dynamic storytelling. So the way companies communicate has become more dynamic. We all know about this. So companies no longer rely solely on press releases or video clips to tell stories. Instead, there is more emphasis on original content, and they can be received by audiences in a variety of ways. Next, we need to watch out more virtual reality or VR and augmented reality or AR. So papunta na tayo dyan. So even in education, parang inaaral na rin nila how AR and VR or yung IR, virtual intelligence, gagamitin sa education. So here also in business or corporate communication, we need to watch out for virtual reality and augmented reality. So the technological advances we are seeing mean that VR and AR are being used more and more in global communication campaigns. We are talking about the future po, no? So these technologies offer new perspectives on internal and external communication and allow audiences to interact with brands in more engaging ways. So in a nutshell, since that we are talking about globalization and its connection to business communication, in a nutshell, prioritizing business communication is of paramount importance for survival. Now that why survival? Because we are now living in a globalized world where technology is the prime mover of it. And without communication, it is impossible for us to reach what we call globalization because the dimensions of globalization, they all depend on what we call communication infrastructure. So the very reason why we have communication nowadays, kahit nung wala pa tayong internet or technology before, we have globalization primarily because we have communication. And it keeps on evolving or mabilis lang yung pagtakbo ng globalized country natin or globalized world natin kasi meron na tayong tinatawag na technology. So the challenge is if we cannot adapt to the new trends, if we cannot adapt to how are we going to use social media or what we call technologies, medyo may iwan tayo. So prioritizing business communication is of paramount importance for survival. So as you can see, na no company can be successful without effective in-house or external communication. Business communication creates a plethora of opportunities or a lot of opportunities. So kailangan nowadays, in order for us to be successful in business, we should have a good communication. And we know how globalization works and how globalization affects our business and how communication is vital, okay, in the success of our business. So that ends my presentation. And I hope you learned a thing or two from my discussion today. So thank you po, most especially to our beloved Doc EG, Doc Ong, maraming salamat po. And I hope mag-speak ako ulit. Thank you po, Doc Ong. Thank you po sa lahat ng viewers natin. I hope you learned a thing or two. I hope na bigyan ko po kayo ng overview with regards to globalization and business communication. And again po, reminder or takeaway natin ngayong araw na to, globalization is vital. We need to understand it in order for our businesses to grow. And at the same time, we should have a good communication skills because communication is the source and the foundation of globalization, and all the dimensions of globalization depend on communication structure. So, ayun lang po. Maraming salamat po. God bless po and more power.
Wow naman! Thank you, Doc IB, Jane. Alam mo, si Doc IB has been my, is my favorite mentor as far as, research is concerned. Actually, we are now collaborating on a research paper that we're going to publish soon. Anyway, Doc IB na ha? Okay, maraming salamat for that wonderful presentation. And I know, as an educator yourself and also myself, we aim to deliver, to give our constituency the best erudition, the best information they could get so that they could learn from it. Thank you, IB. Maraming salamat sa iyo. Ayan ha. We now have two very good presentations, one from Professor Joey and the other one from Doc IB. Yan ha, Doc IB. And so, now we move on to, kasi para maabot natin ang oras natin, no? We move on to our info bits.
Infobits, brought to you by Doc EG Live. Did you know that global economy can be explained through one word, transactions? International transactions taking place between top economies in the world help in the continuance of global economy. These transactions mainly comprise trade taking place between different countries. International trade includes the exchange of a variety of products between countries.
Okay. So, thank you. So, talagang learning session in my program. It's learnings and earnings and networking globally and domestically. By the way, Professor Joey is informing you that there's going to be a Colliers International event in Manila, and likewise on March 31, 2 p.m. at the Philippines 3, 11th floor, Philippines 3, Philippines City, Alabang. No? Meet and greet for Colliers International, wherein we will have a very good speaker from international. There is, yeah, si Sebastian Walker. Yeah, na-attend tayo dyan. By the way, wala ako yan kasi nasa kwan ako niya. Nasa Taipei. Okay, so now we move on to the other announcements. Yes. Okay, so the Philippine Federation of Real Estate Service Professionals is sponsoring the first PRBRES ASEAN Real Estate Summit to be held in Cebu City on June 29 to July 1 at the Waterfront Hotel. And you are all invited, you're all invited to attend the convention. The theme is responding to the challenges of the better normal. And quoting from our dear President Bongbong Marcos, BBM is build better and more progress for our country. So attend po tayo dyan. That is gonna be slated on June 29 to July 1 with participation from the different ASEAN countries po. And the early bird, they said, according to the organizers, early bird of, I think 3,000 pesos ang early bird is only up to March 30. March 30. Kaya po kailangan ay mag-reserve na tayo so that we can save on 500. After March 30, it's gonna be I think 3,500 already. So reserve, and it's also calling all the developers and all of those who would want to sponsor this ASEAN Summit, well, hosted by PRBRES and being spearheaded by the National Board of PRBRES, headed by National President Gigi Roa from Cagayan de Oro, our President of PRBRES National, and also our chair, convention chair is Melinda Lit, no? My kumare, Melinda Lit, who is a very qualified and energetic lady, an accountant who does this for an advocacy. No, si Melinda Lit, PNP Melinda Lit, and also the other national officers. We have the Secretary General, of course, no, contributing a lot of her brains and her help to the success of the national summit, and that is Melby Sadang. Ayan. At yung ating Cebu counterpart, si Bong Labrador, Jung Golchano, Tessie Domingo, Bobby Pacanya, and the other officers of the newly organized the ASEAN Real Estate Appraisers Association. Yan. Kaya po, dapat it will be held in Cebu City, and I guess there's gonna be also a golf tournament and a very nice ASEAN interaction with some ASEAN delegates. So come and join the learnings, no, and the erudition in Cebu City on June 29. Okay, next. Okay, so, well, yung aking best friend, si Kate Dalaga Garcia, is now pushing. Alam niyo naman siya, mukhang dalaga talaga, kaya pangalan niya Kate Dalaga eh. If you want to for a smoother skin, defy aging, go to Portier. Next, Portier. And Portier is a that is something that Kate and myself are taking, no? Portier Stem Cell Ultimate Health Care. So you would defy aging. Once a day lang yan. And then you can have it. Okay? That's why Kate talaga is very, very young, looking young, and very energetic. Okay, black MP, no, that is black water living powder, is a unique supplement infused with fulvic and minerals, as well as the soil-based organism probiotics, both USDA organic certified. Yan. Kaya po, si Doc Lulu Marquez. Hello, Doc Lulu. Siya po ang nagpo-promote ng Black Water. I am also taking Black Water. Okay, next. And then, continuous enrollment for the Masters in Business Administration of ACE-RE in collaboration with the AMA online education system. Kaya po, kung yung gusto magkaroon ng MBA, which is online with specialization on real estate, ito po ay 1-year online educational program. Enroll now. Okay, so continuously, the Asian Center for Entrepreneurship and Real Estate is promoting the blendplex, no, hybrid educational program on so many areas, like in real estate management, in collaboration with the Lyceum of Alabang, and also offering a lot of entrepreneurship seminars and training on how to start up, especially being your own boss, establish your own business, and also a lot of connectivity abroad to talk about training and development and even consultancy. So please click the link, go to the website of ACE-RE, and you can find the vital information. Okay. Okay, so we have Aben service provider, in collaboration with ACE-RE, is sponsoring a 12-unit real estate brokerage training program for new salesperson on May 2, 3, and 4 at online. No? So if you are interested, then please click Aben. Okay. Okay. Okay, so there is now a what you call it, a condo for rent at Regalia Condo, 29.5 square meters, bare at 18,000 per 18,000 per month. So please connect anytime if you wish to. Maganda ito kasi nakita ko na ito. This is quite actually very near Araneta Coliseum. Kaya take advantage of this, no? Maganda po ito. Okay. Well, actually, there is an inquiry from some foreign funded investors jointly with some Filipino educators who are interested to acquire a existing university or colleges that are actually operating with so many students at hand. And so therefore, if you know of any colleges and universities for sale, then please let us know and we'll be very glad to meet with you. Okay? So now let me thank those who have attended the blessing of SRE office on last Wednesday. Special mention to Father Patrick of Don Bosco, to board member Paeng Pajardo of the PRBRES, PRC, kay Doc Josie Enual, kay, of course, Jade Kimoy with Eunice, the daughter, Jackie Bacolod, the president of LPC Rep, and of course, let me also thank Russell Ojeda, the sales supervisor of certified properties, and Moni Aguirre and Joey Manuel and my good friend, Executive Director Nestor Palabiab, retired from the Philippine Trade Training Center, who is now a consultant of SRE to offer entrepreneurship program, and to Madam Leila Cruz, and to Miss Montesa of Pilplant, no? The of Heritage Park. And I want to say hello also to my good friend Gigi Roa, to Melinda Lit, to and to my siblings, no, who helped me in the preparation for the blessing. Si Evelyn Ong Amores, together with a husband Tony Amores, and baby, no, Tessie Aguilar. Of course, okay, meron pa? Before I go, before may name video siguro, then we will be, oh, sige. You know, we have increase in numbers, no? I think SRE family is growing. Kaya marami po tayo ngayong mga tao na doing the services for you, students, and also for those who are attending our seminars and webinars and trainings on the different areas of management, entrepreneurship, and real estate. Okay, roll, BTR. Okay, yung muna nyo, cutting of ring mo.
Oh, okay, so you see, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Office with his presence and look kindly on all who enter here. And may Almighty God bless you, the Father and the Son and the Holy
Okay, maraming po salamat. That was an excerpt of our blessing last Wednesday. And hope it's gonna be, it was new moon. Actually, it is new moon still. No, it's new moon, new horizon, and new opportunities for SRE and each group. No? Okay, marami pong salamat. And now we move on to the last segment, and that is the quote of the week. Real estate cannot be lost or stolen, nor can it be carried away. Purchased with common sense, paid for in full, and managed with reasonable care. It is about the safest investment in the whole wide world. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd U.S. President from 1933 to 1945, quotations. Thank you. Talaga din naman. So real estate is the name of the game today. But just the same, tandaan po natin na we should learn also, we should be educated, and we should also be informed on what's happening in the industry today. Let me say hello to my good friend, Andy Manyalak. I think he's abroad. He's abroad, no? And also to Tonton Leoterio, a very good friend of mine in Cebu, who is a very progressive, the owner of, I think, the largest real estate marketing organization in the Philippines today. So, Tonton, more blessings. And those who are going to take the April 16 licensure exam for brokers, good luck to all of you. Marami pong, I wish you all the luck. I'll pray for you. Sana lahat kayo, 99%. Pumasa sa ating April 16 licensure exam for real estate brokers, especially those who are graduates of the Lyceum of Alabang. Thank you. And on behalf of our team, headed by, of course, Ellen, then we have Michelle, we have Yachi, we have Vicky, we have SP, and our pilot, Digong. Well, maraming pong salamat for being with us this afternoon despite the so many glitches, no? Daming problema sa internet, yung aming erratic, yung aming connectivity, but despite of that, nakaraos din. We were able to hurdle the program. So this is gonna be soon, hopefully in the coming weeks, we will do better. Maraming pong salamat, and thank you for watching. It's Doc EG Live. Thank you. Grow. Iniyakan. Quezon.